have your attention, please? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome.
Well, hello, everybody. It is Andy Smith here, your 34-year veteran of the comic book industry and your Jedi art master. Not only have I been drawing comics for 34 years, I've also written a few books on how to draw. Number one, Drawing Dynamic Comics. Go check it out. 7 printings of that bad boy came out in the year 2000. People come up to me at shows and they're like, I got this when I was a kid. I love this book. And I go, wow, you were a kid. I feel old. Anyhow, I've done some other books. Links in the description below. Check out my website and stuff, andysmithart.com. Today's video is going to be, I love Jack Kirby. Okay, Jack Kirby, king of dynamic comics. And when he first started out drawing in the golden age, which is, the 50s, 40s, 50s, his art was more pseudo realistic. It wasn't until the 70s that his art got more stylized. And what I mean by that is this. This is around the 70s. Jack Kirby, of course, known for creating Captain America with Joe Simon. And you can see the dynamics, legs spread apart, dynamic pose, swinging down, bodies flying. Really cool stuff. And you might look at this and go, I don't want to draw stuff that looks like that, though. I like realistic looking anatomy, like what you do, Mr. Smith. And I'm like, don't call me Mr. Smith. That was my dad. You can call me Master Jedi, Master Art Jedi, Master whatever. Call me Andy. But the point of this video is, one, I want to show you, I always talk about what? Basic shapes. You need to know the basics before you can start throwing on all the anatomy and such. And the thing I like about Kirby is you're really looking at basic shapes, and he adds these slashes and squiggles and stuff. So what I'm saying is, if you look at the upper torso as a box type shape, like I broke down in a previous video, go check it out. Like, this is Cap's torso pretty much right here. It's a box coming at us in perspective, straight on. It would be like this. And it's more of a rectangle because we measure the body by what? The length of, or the height of a head. 2 heads fit in the torso. 3rd head up here, 4th head down here for the waist box, so on and so forth till you get 8 heads high figure. So with that in mind, look at this. Captain America, and this is what really made Kirby so fast when it comes to drawing. You draw through. This is the lower box, his waist. You can see it has a curve to it because his right leg left on the screen is coming at us. So you've got those boxes now. And then, like I said, this leg, let me just reduce that down some. There we go. So like I said, then you've got his right leg, which, what's a leg? It's a cylinder. It's a modified cylinder. What's a cylinder? Coke can of pop, Coke, soda, whatever. That's a cylinder, and it's coming at us. Contour lines, and then the lower leg, the knee joint is a sphere, which is a ball, and then the lower leg is going back some. You can see that by the curve of his boot. And it's just modified. And when I say modified, I mean, you can see that I'm curving in the cylinder for the shape of the lower leg. If it wasn't modified, it would just be a cylinder going back in perspective some like that. That's not modified. And then this leg, his left leg, is not really coming at us that much. It's more going off to the side. And yes, this is an extreme pose. Could I strike a pose like this? No, I would hurt myself. I would pull things. I would probably need to go to the doctor. But this is comic books. And one of the things I think modern comics are lacking is these dynamics of poses that most people couldn't do. And then once again, the lower leg, modified cylinder going back. The foot is basically this flat shape for the base of the foot, the bottom of it, and it's a wedge like this. And of course, the arch it cuts in and stuff. And in this foot, heel, the back of the heel, and he's got the foot coming at us. Oops, let me raise. How do I? Oh, yeah. He's got the foot coming at us like this. So you can see a little more. And then it's a wedge shape like that. And then the heel arch of the foot cuts into the toes, so on. And then his arm, what's the shoulder? Say it with me. It's a sphere, which is a ball. You can tell his arm is going down because of the curve of his sleeve there. So the arm is coming down. So what is the arm? It's a cylinder. So you get a sense of, wow, no wonder Jack could draw so fast, because he really wasn't concerned with anatomy. It was just these basic shapes. This other arm, what is it? It's a cylinder, or I mean, it's a sphere, ball shape for the shoulder, modified sphere, or sorry, cylinder going back. And you're like, do you talk out loud like this when you draw your comic pages? No, I don't. And then modified cylinder again for the forearm and the fist. The top part of your fist without the fingers is a block shape. And then knuckles and stuff. And then the head, you can see it right here on his drawing, this hole. If I were to draw through the head, that's what we call the neck hole, which is right here on the drawing here. And then the head sits up on it, and the head, this is a straight on shot of the head. So it's pretty much a modified oval. And he's got Captain America looking up some. So center line of the face. And then since he's looking up, let me erase out this stuff here. Since he's looking up some, there's a slight curve to the brow line. And it curves down to the side. That's where the ear is. And then the nose is halfway down. And then the mouth line. And you can kind of see, like, wow, no wonder Jack could draw so fast, right? But what I want to also show is once you break this down like this, and you can see the forms are very solid. You know, one of the things I see in comic book art by beginners is, let me just throw another layer over this and I'll show you. Their construction isn't as solid as this. So like you'll have, God, I always draw on the layer I don't want. You'll have something cut in and then in and then out, and it might be kind of bloopy looking and not really solid. And the forms just really don't work as well and such, because the artist doesn't know the basic shapes well enough to, their leg, just really, really bad forms. It's even hard for me to like draw it bad because I'm trained not to. But, you kind of get a sense like, oh, it's kind of bloopy and doesn't look as solid. Okay. And that's why it's important to really get this underlying construction so well. Because just from this, right, I could just almost take these outlines that I have here with the overlaps, and I'm not really added anything yet. I am using a little bit. You need to know some anatomy, so I'm thinking about that as I draw it. But you don't need to know a lot. There's ankles. Okay, so one thing with the ankles, the inner ankle is higher than the outer ankle. The outer ankle is lower. So you indicate that. This line shows higher on the inside, lower on the outside. Foot comes down. Like I said, it cuts in for the arch, cuts back around for the toes. Let me just turn off that real quick, get this over centered more. And right now, I'm not really adding anything. I'm just sticking to this outline, or I'm just sticking to the shapes I established underneath. Trapezius comes down, shoulder, arm like that. Pretty much just sticking to the outline. There's the elbow. So I'm popping that little triangle type shape on there for the elbow, forearm, and then the thumb, shoulder comes around. I'm basically just going right around this sphere ball shape. Now this is where I'm thinking about some of the anatomy. This was a basic cylinder that I drew underneath here, not modified. Modified means I'm pulling the arm out because of how the tricep goes. The elbow is a little triangle shape that pops off, cuts down and in. You've got the forearm like that. The wedge shape for the hand. And then the fingers, if I blew up really big, they're all just small cylinders, because look at your fingers. What do they look like? They look like little cylinders. Thumb. And then this leg, once again, sticking pretty much to the outline around the sphere of the knee. Bottom of the leg overlaps because his lower leg is going back. I modify the cylinder shape outline with the outline of how a calf goes, and which you can learn from anatomy books or just looking at, real photographs. The ankle, the arch of the foot cuts in, back around to the toes. Wedge shape. This right here is the top of the box, which equals the clavicles. Like that. Here's the center line. The bottom waist box here I'm just tracing that line I drew for his belt. And then remember the neck hole. Well, the neck comes down right around pretty much the outline of that neck hole. And then his head. And even if you don't want to draw, quote unquote, like Jack Kirby, these are good exercises to do because you want to get your mind's eye and your hand coordination used to drawing these basic shapes. Let me just blow up on this a little bit for the face. You know, this is his brow line. And his brow's cut up. And his eyes set back. Nose. Mouth. And then, you know, you cut in cheekbones. Chin. Oops. Centers it. So you got this, and then like I said, I haven't added much at all to what was drawn below with the shapes, right? Just want to thin that up. And then basically take off the layer below and look what you got. And that's just modifying some of the basic shapes, but see how solid it looks? And it's readable. And that was the thing about Jack's stuff. It's very readable. As soon as you see it, it punches you in the face with the dynamics. It's so good. Now, you can add anatomy to it by and I don't even need to turn the layer on below, but I know anatomy-wise, the chest, I will turn it on. Let me boost up the opacity again. See this box up here? Remember, two heads, right? For the torso box. And this is really basic, of course, but this bottom line is where the nipples fall and the chest, the pecs, fall below it. So because I know that that's how the division is on this drawing here, this is that line here, and the pecs swoop around like this, and the pecs, whatever the shoulders are doing, which the shoulders are going this way, the pecs will do the same thing. And they swoop up. So now our hero has some pec muscles. And then so on and so forth. It really depends on how much anatomy you want to do. Right? So that's one thing I want to show. Now, if you have a digital program, iPad, it's great because you can just turn on. Here's another Jack Kirby Captain America drawing right here. You can just pop it in, create a new layer over top of it, reduce the opacity, of course, of what you're drawing over, create the new layer. Let me turn this one off too. And then just right over top, block in the shapes like this, so you can get a sense. And this drawing was from 69. So you can get a sense of how the shapes fit in and interlock with everything. We know this arm's coming forward because the glove curves around like it's coming at us. This arm's going back, so we can see the sleeve here is curved away from us. So these are good exercises to do, right? And I'm not going to go through the whole figure. Now, the one thing Jack does, and it doesn't drive me crazy up the wall or anything, but remember, I was I was trained more from looking at like George Bridgman, Bern Hogarth, Andrew Loomis. Okay. So if his upper body is twisting like it is here, like I've got it here, and his lower body has this leg coming forward, that means the waist is twisting this way, which he did do with the hips. Okay. So he's got the hips going the right way, but the belt should also be going that way. And he's got the belt parallel with the shoulders. Small thing. Is it a make or break for your comic art? No. It's just by doing it this way where you see the belt, and once I turn off the layer below, you'll really get the sense. Let me just do the cylinder for the leg. Like that. You've got the ball shape for the knee. You've got the modified cylinder coming down for his lower leg. And this leg is going back, which, even though it's behind the shield, his knee, and then the modified cylinder going back for the calf, and then the block shape for the foot that's a wedge shape like this. But what I want to show is turning off Jack's drawing. My drawing now has more of a twist, and if I throw in the chest line, we're cutting this because these are two different shapes. You've got the big torso shape and then the lower waist shape. Cutting this in half where the pecs would be, you get more of a sense of the twist of the body if the belt wraps with the way the hips are going compared to what Jack did. And draw through, you see it like that, and then I will just finish. His head, the other thing too, if you look at Jack's stuff, he did a lot of straight on shots with the head, a lot of side views with the head. And the reason is it's what's quicker to draw. Well, I tell you what, I can draw a straight on view with the head tilted up or down slightly, because this head on Captain America that Jack did is still tilted up ever so slightly, right? Well, it's still easier to do that than turning the head a little bit. Same thing with the side view. Drawing a side view is a lot easier than drawing a 3/4 view of the face. And, you know, Jack was about dynamics and speed, and he got it down to this science. And once again, it all goes back to like these basic shapes. Now, if you want to practice anatomy straight up over Jack's stuff, let me turn this off. Turn this back on. You can kind of see where it is. Now, this is a good study once you learn anatomy and start practicing it, because at first, if you don't know it that well, you'll look at this and be like, I don't know where to put in the anatomy. But because I've been drawing for so long and I can sit there and go, okay, let's take Jack's drawing and put in some anatomy and see if I can make it work with his outlines. So there's a center line of the chest. Chest shoots around. He's got this big slashy mark right here, which does indicate the side of the pec muscle, chest muscle. The other pec swoops up like that. Carve that out a little bit. This slashy right here, he did big slash mark, indicates the shoulder going back. If you put your arm back, you can feel how your shoulder pops forward, right? Now, this is a quick drawing Jack did, so some of it's off, but that's okay. The shoulder has the 3 heads to it, like I talked about in a previous video. If you haven't seen it, just go back and check out the library on this playlist. So you've got the 3 heads to the shoulder, front, side, back. Trapezius comes down. Bicep comes down and around like Jack has. Tricep around. Forearm. I'm kind of sticking to his outlines. Comes forward. But now I'm throwing in anatomy that I know, like the way I do the forearm muscles. I'm not worried about the glove or any of that stuff. Jack did, because this is more of an exercise in putting anatomy over one of Jack's drawings and making it work. This trapezius comes down. His neck is a little off because the neck hole, if you carry the center line through from the chest, the neck hole should be here. And this was a quick sketch Jack did. I'm sure this thing didn't take him more than 20 minutes. And I'm probably still giving it too much time. You probably whip it out faster than that. So when you have the neck hole in the right place, you know where the outline of the neck should come from, which means the head would slide over some. This is more about the anatomy. So, okay, so we got that. Now he's got this shoulder slash coming in here, which is fine because you do have the main muscle group of the chest broken up into individual pieces. But if you look over on this side where the shoulder cuts in on the clavicle, it's right where the clavicle turns back, because the clavicle isn't a straight bone like this. The clavicle goes from the center of the sternum and then cuts back like that. And right here where it cuts back is the shoulder coming off. That's what gives you this pointy shape like that. So knowing that, this is the clavicle. Where's it cut back? Right here. Well, then the shoulder would swoop down like that. And then once again, you can break it into the thirds. You've got his bicep coming down, his tricep. It's what I find cool too is you see under the bicep, there's this straight line Jack did. I'll erase it right here. Well, if you flex, or if you look at a bodybuilder, when they flex their bicep, it pops in sooner, and then the tendon that connects it to the forearm is what that line indicates. And then you've got his forearm coming around like this. Of course, the shield is covering it, but once again, just from knowing the anatomy like I do. And then you can use, this is the back line. This shows part of Captain America's lat. This is the other side of his rib cage coming in. And then he doesn't show the center line, so I will. Center line down. This leg is coming forward, so it's going to twist like that. That's his crotch. I am going to adjust the belt the right way. Because remember, your belt sits on your hips. Now, if I were to pull my belt up like a boxer, where, you know, a boxer has the waistband of his shorts way up on his abs, then it will probably twist with the upper body. But if the waistband is right on your hip, it's going to twist with your hips. He did blow this hip out quite a bit. Kind of girthy hips there for Cap. So I'm going to pull it back in. And then I said before in a previous video, the rib cage cut has to be, if the shoulders are doing this, the chest is doing this, the rib cage cut where it comes down in the A shape from below the pecs and then swoops back, they have to hit the same parallel line, which you can see like this, which when I draw, I use that line that lines up both sides of the rib cage as the first set of abs that you'll see on the character. And then remember, the bottom set of abs go in the same direction as the waistband or the waist. The obliques cut down below the waistband some, and they are also parallel, so with the waistband. So the other oblique is here. because he's twisting. And then the middle set of abs right here curve. It's like an accordion, curve a little. They stretch on the side where the body's being stretched. And then on the side that's compressed, with the arm coming forward, they compress. And if you were to lose seeing this waistline, like he's not wearing a belt, that's how it looks. And then I'm going to finish with the legs, but just to show you where we're at, I got to turn off the right layer. That's where we're at. And this is over Jack Kirby drawing. So you can apply, you can learn from Jack in regards to the dynamics he did, how he posed figures to make them look really dynamic. And then you can apply your own anatomy to those same dynamics. You know, you get the little serrat muscles here that line like the side of the rib cage, like that, and the lat kind of touches them like that. And then you've got this leg coming forward. It's a little short. I'm not going to adjust it. This is the knee right here. You can see how Jack has it indicated. I'm not going to draw the boot, but I'll use kind of the outlines Jack has. And then, like I said before, the inner ankle is higher and the outer ankle's lower. Jack really didn't do the ankles here, but it works with his style. In my drawing style, I couldn't get away with not drawing the ankles. Foot comes down, then this leg is going back. Even with the shield there, because of my anatomy knowledge, I know how the anatomy goes on this leg. You see a little bit of the bump of the knee. And then he's got the lower leg going back. You would still see the ankles. Inner ankle's higher, outer ankle is lower, and then the foot going back in perspective, and he's got it in shadow and stuff. And then I can turn this off to fill in the rest of the anatomy, but you've got that. But then on the anatomy side of the leg, where you've got the ball shape here of the knee joint, there's the center line, and the kneecap pretty much goes right in the center like that. Now, Jack didn't worry about kneecaps and stuff like that. He drew big, thick joints. And then you've got this teardrop muscle that comes down. It goes up about halfway of the length of the leg. You got the teardrop there. Coming off the oblique, you've got that muscle that's a band. Not like a band like the Beatles, but a band like this that swoops down. It goes underneath the teardrop, comes down and connects almost where the bottom of the knee is. And you got that large muscle, and then you've got the big center muscle of your leg here, and then the outer muscle of your quads here, and the outer muscle is higher than this teardrop lower muscle. Like that. The calf comes down. I can't remember if it's tibia or fibia right there. It doesn't really matter. And then you've got a muscle in the front that starts from the outside of the kneecap and swings around to the inside. And then basically the bigger muscles, the back of the calf. So once again, you can see, look at that. Jack Kirby, pose works, dynamic. It's not exactly my proportion system that I use because I'm going right off of the Jack Kirby drawing. If I wanted the dynamics of a Jack Kirby drawing in my work, I could just look at it, and I'm just goofing around. I love doing the muscles and stuff. I could look at it and then just do the pose, but think more about the proportions that I would give the figure. Like this leg would be a little bit longer, the thigh would be the lower leg. I might make the head a tad bit smaller because it's a superhero, and I'd rather have him a smaller head to enforce the largeness of his body. It just depends. But, that's kind of what I want to show with this video. And then on this forearm, he's got going back. You've got this side muscle here that comes down and connects to the bony landmark corner of the humerus, which is your upper arm. Comes around. You've got the upper or lower arm, inside forearm muscle here. And then these muscles just wrap around like this. You've got this muscle on the inside of the bicep, and then you've got the tricep back here. Just throwing it in. But you can see, once again, like I was saying, how it works and why I think, and I wish I learned this as a kid. I didn't learn this until later, but I think Jack Kirby's figure work, well, I've always thought Jack's work was dynamic, so not that, but how I can apply learning anatomy over top of his figures because his shapes and his forms are done so well, So just to show you, oops, pull that up. Let me just pull it over here to the side. And then you can kind of see the before, Jack's drawing and what I did to it. So that's it. That is really what I wanted to cover in today's video. Is Jack stuff is very dynamic. You can learn so much from it. I did pull another couple examples. Oh wait, that's the one I already showed. Here's one. Here's one. You can see the anatomy a little bit better on this one. This is Atlas from First Issue Special. I love this book, but you can see, and I'll just do it real quick. Let me lower the opacity, shoot a new layer on it. You can see how Jack is cutting in the chest muscles here. They go up this way. He's got the center lines for the abs. He has the outline of the abdominal muscles going in. This body's kind of going back, so the chest goes around. Remember, the clavicle goes back, and where the clavicle bends back, the shoulder comes off. And then here's the thing, and this is total Jack doing, being stylized. He's got this muscle right here. This is the lat. That's your back muscle. This is the side of the rib cage, Jack's indicating. Obviously, that's the side of the body. Well, the lat goes behind the bicep, so I would never correct Jack if like this came in because it worked so cool stylistically. But the bicep would be pulled back over top of the lat, and then tricep. And then, when you're working in real anatomy, this arm's coming forward. So you would have that forearm muscle wrap around. The bicep would overlap it. And it would look more like that. So when you turn it off, that layer off, you can see like, oh, okay, I see what's going on now, and it works. And then, he didn't draw the center line, but if you did, it would be here. If you did the rib cage cut where you can see it, that's here. And then he pinched this in here, which indicates the ab muscles. Like I said, that was the other side of his rib cage. Here's another side of his lat, because it's pretty much a straight on shot. This is his stylized side of the rib cage. The obliques come down. Shoulder wraps around once again. But because I can't stand seeing the bicep go behind the back muscle, I will always put it where it belongs. And this arm's going away from us. Like that. So when you turn it off, you can see this arm's going away from us now because the bicep rolls around and overlaps. This forearm muscle comes down. And then there's the other one that comes down and goes around, and then a bigger one on the front side of the forearm like that. And these are the inner forearm muscles here. And when Jack is doing this with the rib cage, what he's kind of doing, I'll just show it real quick, is I'll blow this up, make the brush a little smaller. Oops, wrong layer. This is the chest. He's kind of lining up where those serrat muscles go, those little oval shaped muscles that angle down and then connect to the side of the abdominal walls. Like that. And then the lat is really pulled backwards, because if you saw a behind shot of him, he's really pulling his arms back, pinching his back muscles together. Like that. So that line that he drew real solid as just a solid line, if you look at it, it's actually a good guideline for those I think they're the serratus muscles. I can never remember. So when you turn it off, you can see like that, and you get a better sense of the rib cage. Once again, all of this off of a fantastic Jack Kirby drawing that when I saw this, I was like, holy crap, this is fantastic. And then I'm not going to go over the whole figure, but I do want to show on this leg right here. Oops, that is way too big. That's better. That's the big inside muscle coming down from the crotch, which is probably right about here. If you drew through this and this, he's indicating basically the thigh bone, because you can feel on the inside of your knee and on the outside, you can feel the bone of your thigh that basically connects up to the hip here, swings out like this. I mean, it's really exaggerated, but that's Jack, man. He exaggerates like that. And then you've got, and I'm just going to do it as one piece, below it, the bones of the lower leg, and I'm just doing them as one piece, that come down like this. Right? And then the kneecap, which he has indicated right here, sits on top of the femur. So from the side, if you've got, this is the femur, right? And then you've got the lower leg like this, these bones, even though I'm only drawing one, there's two bones that make up the femur. And I'm not perfect. I'll tell you right now, there's a thicker, fatter bone for the lower leg and a thinner bone I think the thinner bone is on the inside of the leg. I honestly can't remember, but it doesn't matter because you swoop this down. This is an ankle. Remember, the inner ankle's lower, the outer ankle or is higher, the outer ankle's lower. It doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure the thinner bone is here, but I don't recall. I don't care. So the patella, your kneecap, sits on top of the femur when it's bent like that. And then there's like this little tendon thing that comes down, whatever. So Jack, you can see he has it indicated. And then you can't see the rest of his leg because of this rubble and stuff. But just going by where the outline starts, it probably goes like this. But that's what he's indicating with this bone coming out like this is the bony landmark of the femur, kneecap sitting on it. You can see where he indicates it. And it's you know, cartooning is supposed to be basically the artist's representation of how they view the world, how once they learn anatomy, how they interpret anatomy. That's why you'll see, look at just all the artists out there and compare how they draw a muscle bound or a muscle superhero. And most of the anatomy has the same, oh, they have abs in the same place, the pecs and things like that. But then when it comes down to just the shapes and everything, we're all different. And it's all how we perceive it and see it. So, and then when it comes to comic books, it's fun to get stylized and really whack stuff out. So keep that in mind. Thank you for watching. I'm trying to do 3 of these videos a month. As always, if you have an idea for something you want me to cover in a video, let me know in the comments. I know I got comments about doing a coloring tutorial. I do plan on doing that. That one, I'm just trying to plan it out because I'm not that fast at coloring and I try to keep these to an hour or under. So thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel and hail to the King Kirby. Without him, where would any of us be? Keep drawing. Have fun. Love drawing comics. Like, subscribe, and share. And I will catch you guys later. Bye-bye, everybody.